Hi guys, and welcome back to Hillside Talks. I'm really happy that you've decided to join me. I've kind of moved my location today, and if you're listening on the podcast, this won't be visible. But if you're watching on YouTube, it will be. I'm usually on the couch or on the floor in front of the couch, but today we're filming in the music area of our home because to me, that's what Morten is all about. And we are talking to him today about tech. Screen time, social media, all of this stuff is something that Morten and I are very passionate about and very curious about, and always trying to kind of navigate it together. And I did start off into moving us toward downsizing, but when it came to like detoxing from social media and cutting screen time and news and stuff like that, Morten was the first mover. So I found it fitting to put him in the hot seat today and to ask him some questions. My approach to news and stuff like that is a little bit different because I'm all about like finding the balance, where Morten is a little bit more extreme, you could say, like not in a bad way, but he just likes to like push the boundaries and take things kind of to the edges of what is within sanity, of course. Even when we were downsizing, he did the same. So he did the 100 thing challenge where he downsized to 100 things only. And he's not as extreme on this, but he has some really, really good views on things, a lot of good thoughts. And I thought it would be very fitting to have him on today and ask him some questions, because I've seen firsthand how it has really impacted his life to make some intentional choices when it comes to tech and phones and screen time and all of this stuff. So let's dive into it, and maybe consider listening to this with your husband or your spouse, or sending it to some friends where you know that this could be an issue. Screen time and the lack of what happens, like attention that we're not paying each other when we're on a screen a lot, can really cause quite a lot of conflict. So share it with whoever you think this is valuable to. I'm going to get out of this seat and we're going to have Morten sit here instead. Okay, so let's get into it. How often do you check the news?
I never actively go to a news site to check news anymore.
This is a big question that I've heard people ask you so many times, but how do you stay informed if something big happens in the world?
Right. So there's no way to avoid news. Though I don't check it actively, I hear the top stories at work. When I'm out shopping, I typically scan the front page of the newspapers, and I get news from church, and just being in the world. You can't avoid news. So you might think already now, how does this dude stay informed, or is he just ignorant of what's going on around him? But I'm sure we'll get to that.
And a natural lead off to that is, do you ever feel left behind?
I do not feel left behind. Even better, I feel like I'm more on top of things because I decide what goes into my brain is not just this constant news feed.
That's great. What motivated you to stop watching or reading the news apps?
So this was, I think, during an election time where I just got sucked into news. And we were on a vacation in Italy for 3 weeks in our camper. And I was just on the phone the whole time, and I didn't want to do that. So at one point it just became too much. So I decided no more. I don't want to do this. So I quit it altogether, I think for a few weeks or a month, and I stuck with it.
And you've been doing this for quite a while. And I know that on this channel, on this podcast, we talk quite a bit about defining our why, which is the deeper motivation. Once the initial motivation kind of wears off, you need something else to kind of run off to stick with it, if that makes sense. So what has been your motivation to keep going? Because you've done this for quite a few years.
My motivation now, I'd say, is more to be a good example to Max, and also get more time with Max and be more present in the now and here, and just be present really with my family, and also to better focus again. I feel like when I give my brain time to just be and not consume or head over to the screen immediately when there's like 5 seconds, I feel like I can better remember things, remember details. So along with that, I also try not to quickly go to the screen and look up things when there's a fact I can't remember, or a year, or an event or something, if something comes up in conversations, I try to just bring to the conversation what I can remember from memory, if that makes sense, and not look up things the whole time. Go to Wikipedia and see, oh, what's the actual number here or whatever. And sometimes it takes a little while to remember a fact. And if I can't remember, I mean, it's all right. I can still remember what was important about that. And there's still enough to keep the conversation going, like in the good old days before we had computers in our pockets.
And now probably to the biggest question, what are the biggest benefits that you felt?
Oh, the benefits, there are plenty. So first, I'm not the type of person who worries a lot, but still when the media is just filled with bad news, and let's just face it, I think 90% of all the headlines on the media sites are bad news. And that's just not how reality is. So I feel like I worry less. I have definitely noticed that I have an easier time now remembering things, like I just said before. And I think another benefit is to make sure that I get good stuff into me, you can say. Because I feel like when you go to a news site, even the most serious ones, and we do have really good news sites here in Denmark, and there's a good German one as well. Even those sites, I think when I scan the front page, 90% of what's there is something that's just not important in a week's time, or even, maybe even tomorrow. It's just this guy said, or just a lot of trivia. And let's just face it, it's made for ads. They need to have a constant feed going, so we can go in there and they can show us ads. I just don't want to be part of that. And I want to control what goes into my brain. That's definitely a benefit as well. And I'm sure we'll touch on what I do instead of consuming news. But yeah, it's definitely about being very conscious about what I bring into my head.
What has been kind of your strategy? Because it's nice sometimes to have a practical way, like some boundaries you set for yourself, or like, yeah, so how have you navigated that?
Oh yeah, it's a very, very simple strategy. It's just to not check it at all. I mean, for me, it's just no news at all because, I mean, I don't really benefit from it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we've also talked about that you're the type of person where it's just easier for you to completely stop checking something and just leave it out. Whereas I am more the kind of person who I'm into politics. Like I like staying informed, and I tried going without it completely for 6 or 8 weeks and it was fine, but I actually felt that it created more worry in me to not have a clue on what was going on. So I found the balance of checking once a week. It keeps me informed, it keeps me on top. I have several months of experience with it now, and I haven't missed anything big yet, and I feel informed to the level that I feel like I need to be and I want to be. So I just check every Monday, and it's pretty easy to stick with, actually. I think the only time, and it's funny that you mentioned election, because every time there's an election, I actually feel the same pull. Like it's so easy to then check more often. And I think it's fine. If there's something very current going on, you want to check, and it's fine. But you just have to like pay some attention to afterwards to get rid of it again, and to definitely know that that's a time of year where you can easily get sucked in. So having a specific or extra tight strategy for that time might be good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about social media. And we're going to talk about it for private use because you do need to use it for work. And most people have a Facebook profile. And I know that you use it for like messaging, or there are a few groups on there that you're a part of. But Facebook as the social media, do you check Facebook?
Like you said, I do use social media in my work. I do social media campaigns and stuff for NGOs. So there I will see if there's a notification. But other than that, outside of work time, I try to not check Facebook. I might check it eventually because like you said, there are groups I'm a part of, and there's things that I organize using Facebook. There's events for our shows with the band and stuff. So I do check it occasionally, but what I've done with Facebook is that I've checked off notification for everybody and anybody that I don't have a very close relationship to. So there's probably just like less than a handful of people where I actually get the updates from them within my newsfeed. So that strictly limits what's in my newsfeed. That means there's just ads left and just stupid things. So no, I don't hardly ever spend more than a few seconds on Facebook.
And then now let's do a round of rapid fire. You can answer yes or you can answer no. Do you have Instagram?
I do not.
Do you have X?
Nope.
TikTok?
Nope.
Snapchat?
No Snapchat.
Pinterest?
Nope.
Oh, he's fantastic, right? Okay, so try and go into a little bit. Which ones were the hardest to get rid of and why?
All right, so probably 4 or 5 years back, I was on a site called 9gag. It's very much like Facebook is today. It's just a constant scroll. I think they probably helped invent that death scroll where it just kept loading new stuff. And it was really just funny memes and images and fun stuff, I would say, typically tailored mostly toward men. So there was a lot of fun stuff there that you felt like sharing with your friends and stuff. And that took a few rounds to totally get rid of that. It kind of crept back into my apps on my phone a few times, but I haven't used it for several years now and it's not coming back.
And then you've also handled Instagram, I know.
Oh yeah, Instagram. Instagram is just a monster. I don't know, obviously, how it is for a woman or a girl. If you're male, it doesn't matter if you're 13 or if you're 44 like me, 50% of your feed will just be inappropriate stuff. I even tried at one point to set up a new profile and tag myself as an elderly woman in there. But within a few weeks, I guess I looked more at cars than knitting or whatever. It figured out who I was. And it just kept filling up so quickly again with women with very little clothes on. So no, I do not like Instagram. Not for teenagers, not for me, not at all. Instagram is so visual and they know exactly how to creep back into your pocket and into your phone. So no, that takes some guts to get rid of it, but it's definitely worth it.
What was your process like in this? When did it start? And I love this section. Like, did this just come out of the blue or did you have some influential resources, like a movie you watched or a book you read or anything like that that you can share with us?
I really enjoyed watching The Social Dilemma. It's a short little documentary. If you haven't watched it, I totally recommend you do it, especially if you have kids, but also for yourself. That was really, really eye-opening. Done by people in Silicon Valley who invented much of this stuff that we're talking about. And other than that, I would say the book by John Mike Comer, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, where he talks about just slowing down and getting your brain to function again in this digital age. That really helped a lot too. And I think also even like a really old book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Workweek, just focusing and not allowing your brain to go all over the place, but really get more output in your life. So I really like to get stuff done. Also, yeah, with my music and everything, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do on a weekly basis. And having a family and a little 9-year-old boy that wants me on the trampoline, I don't feel like I have those 1 to 2 hours a day to just scroll. So yeah, that's definitely a huge motivator and yeah, something that keeps me on track.
Okay, so let's move on to the last area, which is like TV time in general and binging TV series and anything like on Netflix and streaming. And you might even have like cable TV. This is just a huge chunk of the time that we spend on screens. And we've seen that in a lot of studies that's been done. Like there's obviously scrolling, but binging it's so many hours that goes into it. And it's so easy for us as well, and for me in particular, to just crash on the couch and watch a show at night after Max has been put to bed. But Morten doesn't do that. So do you ever binge a series at night?
No, I think it's been a few years since I binged. So by binging, I assume you mean like watching more than one episode, but really just watching one episode. I mean yeah, I'll occasionally watch a movie. I'll probably get back to that, but I don't binge series. The last time I watched a TV series was because I was on my rowing machine. So here in Denmark, we're far up north, so the winters are dark, and I don't feel like running in the winter because it can even be dangerous when there's ice on the road sometimes and stuff. So I do use my rowing machine, and a motivational factor sometimes is that I will watch something while I'm rowing. So that can be sort of coupled together there.
And you mentioned movies. Like, how often do you watch a movie per month?
I think I'll watch a movie maybe once a month. And maybe besides that, we will watch something together, Maria and I. Maybe a podcast episode or a Christmas movie or something like that. So once or twice a month.
When you watch something, then what do you tend to watch?
Yeah, so what I typically watch will be YouTube. So there's a few music producers and music composers that I follow. I really like to get behind the scenes of how a record was produced or written. Just as much as there's a lot of mindless content on YouTube, there's equally just a lot of really, really good stuff. So that's what I typically go to. I'll go to YouTube and watch that. Yeah, and also together with Maria, together with you, I'll be watching something like, for example, The Chosen. So it's a movie or a TV series about the life of Jesus. And we'll also be watching some podcasts with input to everything we're talking about here, or parenting or spirituality or Christianity or something like that. Something that I feel like I benefit from and something that I'm glad that I watched after I watched it.
Why did you make this choice? Because quite a lot of screen time at night is normal.
So like everybody else, I definitely watched a lot early on, but now I don't find it that hard anymore. It's a very, very easy way to relax. But the thing is that your brain is actually not relaxing when you're watching stuff. It's still running, though you feel like paralyzed or just, crashing out to a movie or whatever.
So when you're not on the screen at night, then what do you do at night?
So I'll typically spend my nights reading. I like to read my Bible or some good books. Now I'm reading a book about anger, like healthy anger in the family. Or I'll very often, like several times a week, take long walks. Winter, summer, doesn't matter. I'll take walks, and then I'll very often call up my good friend Jonas, that he's a drummer of the band, and we produce the songs together. So there's always like little riffs flying on voice messages on WhatsApp and what's not.
Oh yeah, let's pause with Jonas, because I just want to add that they can talk for hours. Like, we're not just talking 15 minutes or something. I think your record is like 3 or 5 hours or something. Yeah, so you can do quite a lot of K walking around this area. I think you know every street name. But it's great. Like, I love guys that can communicate, right?
If I do something on my computer at night, I'll be opening up a mix. If I have an idea for a new riff or transition between two different parts of a song or something like that, I'll open up a mix and continue working on it. Or just bounce in a few ideas from my guitar. So I try to do more like relaxing, creative work, not have input into my brain, but more like having things coming out of my brain at night, or except for reading a book or getting something slowly in. But I really like to dive into a more creative part of my brain at night. Often I'll also take a nap if Max is sleeping and it might not be time for me to go to bed yet. But if I'm reading and I just feel overly tired, I'll just take a short nap. Just let my body and my brain just sleep for a little while, 10, 20 minutes maybe. Or I'll talk to Maria.
You've been in this process for probably 5 years. What do you see has been the biggest effect on your family life?
I definitely think it has had a positive effect on my family. So Max is not trying to get my attention as much anymore. He knows he has it. And especially on Fridays. So Friday when Max is home from school till the same time on Saturday. So 24 hours there, we'll do Sabbath where we have no screens at all. And that's just a really great time to have family time together. So I'll say Max is less after me for being on my phone, of course, because I'm not on it so much anymore. And that to me is a huge, probably the biggest benefit, because I really want to set a good example for him, because I cannot imagine how it would be growing up with smartphones everywhere, especially around your parents. I mean, I see it the whole time. They are really, really hard to get out of our hands so we can get our attention on our kids. But that's what I want. I don't think you can get to a point where now you just nailed it, because there's always a new app or something else or a message. I still need to dial it down. I mean, it's just a constant feed. So I definitely need to work on this and dial it back often. It might even crawl into our Sabbath when we decided now it's 24 hours without phones. If I just send a new mix of a song to the rest of the band it's really, really hard for me to wait to the next day to see what they think about it. So it's a constant process.
And then now at the end, let's do this one. It's kind of a big one. Was your faith in any way a catalyst for wanting to change? And has it affected your faith?
I don't think this was like a Christian decision or something that I felt that I should do like that. But the benefit is absolutely there. I feel like I'm much more connected to what I want to be connected to now rather than just be connected to the web. I'm more in the Word. I'm reading my Bible way more. I have more mental capacity, or I gravitate more toward a prayer. And quoting C.S. Lewis, I think in one of his books he describes how the spiritual dark world around us try to make the whole world a noise so we cannot focus on the Lord. And I feel like that's a very, very good description of social media and the phone and the notifications and stuff. So just shutting that off and having my phone completely silent, it only makes a noise if somebody is calling me. I have no notifications and stuff. Just shutting all that off, I think that definitely makes it easier for me to connect with the Lord, and also helps me really walk with the Lord on a daily basis, I would say.
Some of you guys might be like, well, is Morten the perfect human being when it comes to tech? And I would say almost. When it comes to tech, he leads our family really well. He puts a lot of energy into trying to limit all of these things. And he's just a role model to us, which is fantastic. I would say that one of the few things that can be a little bit tricky sometimes, and where the phone is still out quite a bit, is in the afternoons when going from work to family life. Morten produces music. They're writing a lot of music and mixing and mastering and doing all that stuff right now. And since they're all in different locations, a lot of it happens over voice notes on WhatsApp. And that part can be a little annoying to listen to. So there's definitely still a lot of like voice messaging going on in the afternoon. And because it's so much fun, it can be hard to put it away. So I would say that that's probably an area that hasn't been completely figured out, or where there's like room for improvement. And then also making those really, what I find annoying, like he keeps saying that it saves him time. So he does a lot of these like speech to text messages, but the speech messages are just so robotic because he has to like speak like that. And it's just really annoying sometimes to have to listen to. It can drive me a little bit nuts, but I know that it saves you time.
Oh, it saves me a lot of time. These thumbs are just not made for messaging on an iPhone. When I try to hit a little letter, it'll always hit the one right next to it. It's just like it gravitates there. So I'll do speech to text when I want text in a message, or I'll just send them a voice message. So that's what I do. And I get that it's annoying because now Dad is talking again, and it's not to anybody, it's just to somebody on the web. Yeah, it definitely saves time, but I get that it can be a little annoying for your surroundings.
That's it for this week's episode, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I love bringing Morten on here, and I think it's fun to hear his input.
I hope it can inspire somebody. You can show it to your husband or whatever if you are a woman or a girl watching this. Yeah, I hope it helps. Yeah, that's my 2 cents anyway.
Thank you.